Hello, welcome to today's podcast. It is the King's Corner podcast again. And guess what? We are back with modifications, a lot of changes, a lot of things have evolved, and a lot of things are getting better because we want to serve you better. So, like we told you earlier, we're no longer going to be giving you weekly podcasts, but we're going to give you a bi weekly, so every other week, to give you the opportunity to think about the things that you've heard and to be able to apply them and do better, be better, and live better at it so that it's not just you acquiring so much knowledge, but it is you being able to apply the knowledge that you are actually learning. Now, listen, guys, this month is our month of intentionality, and I am so excited because one of the secrets of elevating, one of the secrets of leveling up is being intentional. Some individuals come into personal growth by accident, but many times that it doesn't birth lasting growth. Because you were born intelligent doesn't mean that there is no room for improvement, because the possibility of redundancy is very high. And so, a lot of times, because we were born smart, because we're born intelligent, we could leave our personal growth or personal development to chance. But there are steps that we can take to do something about it. And one of the best ways to gain in the area of personal growth is by making it intentional. So we either choose to grow or we remain complacent or redundant where we are. And if we're not growing, we are dying. If you are not growing, you are dying. I want to share two profound quotes with you. This one is someone unknown. I don't know who said it, but it's such a powerful quote. It says, healthy things grow, growing things change, and change challenges us. Healthy things grow. So one of the sign of health, even as a medical person, is for you to grow. When you're not growing, it's a concern. When a child that is 6 months old is not growing, it's not doing the things that we expect to see at 6 months, we are concerned in medicine. We become worried that that child is not seeing the development that he needs to see at that particular stage of their life. And so the same in the physical. When a person is not growing, when there's no growth, we are definitely very concerned about that person. James Allen, in his book As a Man Thinketh, So Is He, wrote, people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but unwilling to improve themselves, therefore, they remain bound. So, people are actually, they want to grow, they want to see improvement, but they're unwilling to do the work. For you to actually grow, for you to actually elevate, for you to be able to live your best life, you must be able to do something differently. Listen, guys, it is very hard to change your life unless you do something differently. I'll repeat that again so that you can hear me. It is hard to change your life unless you do something differently. So nothing changes unless something happens. Nothing changes. Nothing is able to come to that place of transfiguration, transformation, unless something changes. So there must be a time where you begin to make deliberate efforts to grow. Because when you begin to give that deliberate shot, you begin to give that deliberate effort, you're giving yourself a realistic shot at changing your life. Because we do not change our lives by assumptions, we do not change our lives by wishing. It is actually something that needs to be very deliberate. John Maxwell talks about the growth gap, and how that there is a gap from where you are to where you want to be. And so when challenges come, see it as an increase in capacity, see it as a way to grow, see it as a way to get better, see it as a way to do better, and see it as an opportunity for you to stretch and become even better. So one of the things that you need to know is that the fact that you're hitting your goals does not mean that you're growing. You're just good at hitting targets. But when we grow, hitting goals are a byproduct of our growth. So, what then is growing intentionally? You see, growing intentionally means having a plan and acting on it instead of waiting for something to happen to jolt you into activity. So, it means that you have a personal development plan. That's a PDP, not the political party, but it's something that you can use to monitor your growth over time. So if I ask you between 2020 and today, how have you grown? You're going to begin to look at me at like, how am I going to be able to measure it? But when you have a personal development plan, you are able to adequately measure your growth so that you're not leaving growth to chance, but you're actively participating in your growth. So, what actions are going to improve your life? What actions will improve your business? What actions will improve your service? Or what actions will improve your relationship? You need to be able to know the different actions that can bring about different forms of improvement. All right. So there are many misconceptions about growth. Number one misconception about growth is the assumption gap. So we assume that automatically grow because we grow from children or childhood to adulthood. And so we assume that automatically, because we're growing in age, we're also going to grow and get better. Life doesn't work like that. The same thing for your business. Your business doesn't just grow because it's increasing in numbers, but you need to learn to stay on top of your game. You need to be able to learn to see where the strongholds are, where the loopholes are, and be able to intentionally be cognizant and know where the loopholes are and grow. It is your responsibility to grow. Number two gap is the knowledge gap. Now, many people that suffer from imposter syndrome don't actually suffer from imposter syndrome, but rather they suffer from an imposter of suffer from a knowledge gap. I'm sorry. So, what we call an imposter syndrome could actually be a knowledge gap. So, a knowledge gap is when you lack the know how to grow, when you don't know what to do to achieve the results that you want to see. And so, most people choose the hard way to learn things. They first try without any knowledge, then fail, then seek knowledge, right? That's not how to win. And that makes you feel like an imposter sometimes because you don't know what you're doing. One of the ways to get out of a knowledge gap is for you to go get the knowledge, get the coach, get the mentor, do that course, buy the product, close that gap between what you know, which is 2%, and what you don't know, which sometimes can be 98%. Never assume that you know. That assumption that you know is very destructive. So pay attention. What you think is an imposter syndrome may actually be a knowledge gap. So, how you deal with that matters. Number three, timing. The timing gap is not the right time to begin, but the truth is, when is the right time? You're always going to be busy. Have you ever heard the law of diminishing intent? It's that thing that says that the longer you wait to do something that you should do now, the greater the odds that you would never actually do it. So think about it. What are the things that you're like, I'll do it later, I'll get to it later, I'm always going to come back to it, and you've not done it yet? And the truth is that you're never going to do it because you keep procrastinating it. So there is a difference between deciding to do something and doing it. Rightly or wrongly, we don't just act as quickly as we should on things. So we need to learn to act as quickly as the ideas come. Do it now. Take the action now. Make the call now. Send that message now. Just do it. Capture it. Delegate it. Act on it. There is no better time. You're always waiting for a better time, but newsflash, there is no better time. Number four is the mistake gap. Now, this is the fear of making a mistake. Intentional growth is about venturing into the unknown. So it may not mean having all the answers. And this can be daunting because it can lead to the fear of failure or embarrassment. Yet in itself, it means making mistakes. In fact, there's a quote by, I don't even know who made that quote, but I need to look it up. But I heard it so profoundly at the beginning of the year. If you're not making mistakes, you're not maximizing your potential. Wow. Think about that. If you're not making mistakes, you're not maximizing your potential. So mistakes are a great indication that you're moving forward. So allow yourself to make those mistakes. Number five is the perfection gap. Everything has to be perfect before I start. This is classic procrastination syndrome. This is a way that procrastinators talk all the time. I've said this before and I will keep preaching this message. It is not about perfection, it is about making progress. The only perfect way to do something is to do it first. You will only make progress when you move forward. So choose to take a step, choose to do something, choose to move. And when you move, what you're waiting for is going to meet you along the way as you grow. Now I'm going to run so that I don't keep you here for too long. Number 6, inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. Many times your feelings can lie to you. If you're waiting for external motivation, you will live in a land of inertia. You've got to override your feelings and just do it. Yes, it's that simple. You've got to train yourself to do it anyways, despite how you feel. Even in business, don't just wait, just do it. Get to it. Get it done. You're going to see a lot more results that way. Number 7 is the comparison gap. That's other people are better than I am. Have you been in a room and you just feel intimidated by great minds? You feel hearing people talk and you're like, wow, these people are smart. I'm a Dundee. But I've learned that those rooms are a great place to learn. You're not comparing yourself with anybody, but you use it as an opportunity to learn from great people so that you can be able to show up better in next times. All right. Number 8 is the expectation gap. So I thought it would be easier than this, which is a great feat. But listen, nothing great is achieved easily. So your business success will not be easy because intentional growth starts with getting prepared, and starting and getting prepared takes time. Every overnight success took years of preparation. Every overnight success took years of preparation. So the sooner you decide to be intentional about your growth, the clearer things will get and the doors will open and things will accelerate. So be very intentional about your expectations. Be realistic about your expectations. For crying out loud, allow yourself to be better. So, what are 4 ways that you can be intentional about your personal growth? Number 1, change how you spend your time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day. Every single one of us has 24 hours in a single day. And so, if you have a full time career, you're most likely spending 8 to 10 hours a day dedicated to that. And then we have 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, some people less, and then a couple of hours to eat and take care of basic needs. That leaves us with about 6 to 8 hours where we can choose what we can actually do with it. How we spend that time matters. A lot of times we spend it watching TV, playing video games, being on social media, hanging out with friends. Maybe you should do an experiment this week and next week. Check how many times or how much time you're spending on social media. Check how much times the things you're like, oh, let me just check this message. Oh, let me just check this person's post. How much time are you spending on social media? I had to do something last year, which I had to maintain. I began to limit the amount of time I spent on social media. So I put my social media page on timer. So daily, I have 1 hour to spend on social media, at least on Instagram. Facebook, I wasn't even going there at all. So I realized that when the 1 hour was up, it was up and I was done. And so that really helped me to go on social media for pertinent reasons. If it was not pertinent, I wasn't going to go online for it. All right. So I was on social media intentionally. So you should also learn to be on social media intentionally. I put the things that I want to see on notification, people that inspire me, help me. I just put it on notification so that when they post, I go and I click on their post and I'm able to listen. I'm able to watch, right? So understand that most things are easy to do, but also not easy to do. So create a schedule for your plan. Create or for your growth, I'm sorry, and just tell yourself, I'm giving this specific time for growth. I'm giving this amount of time for growth. I'm going to invest this amount of time for growth. It's something that you have to do intentionally. Change how you spend your time. You watch too much TV, you're watching too much Netflix, you're spending too much time scrolling through people's pages. It's time for you to invest in your growth. Number 2, reading to become better We found that setting out time to read is not easy, but if you're intentional with your growth goals, you are going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that involves reading. Making time to read is an intentional, healthy habit. If you have time to watch TV, then you have time to read. So, books about leadership, about business, about relationships, about understanding ourselves better, about our spirituality, they stretch us, they expose us to different perspective, different minds of thinking. So, there's something different about picking up a book, really, because listening to a podcast, attending a seminar can help you learn a skill set or develop a mindset. But reading is intimate. Reading allows you to take time in to see what the author is saying and apply it to your personal life. And books open up to us. Books makes us sharper. Reading makes us sharper, more knowledgeable, and gives us increased perspective. And many people are like, how much time do I have to do that? So people that have been through certain mentorship programs with KMGA know that we schedule your reading. We can give you like 3 or 4 books or 2 books to read in a month. And so that means that in your busy schedule, you're going to make time to read it because there's going to be a review for it. So you need to actually now begin to learn that, okay, I need to invest in reading. I need to spend time to read. I need to know what is going on around me. So read books. Part of your personal development plan can be actually you now coming to say, I am going to be reading daily. I'm going to be reading or spending 1 hour daily to read a book, no matter how busy I am. I'm going to be spending 1 hour daily to read. That's very important. Now, number three is changing what we feed our minds on a daily basis. Changing what we feed our minds on a daily basis. Although it may sound elementary, watching the news before we wake up or go to bed can sometimes be detrimental because it has a way of affecting our mood. So we must know what we should feed our minds with. Feed your mind with positive things, right? Choose to intentionally create a life for yourself. Yes, there is a life out there, but create a life for yourself. There's a recent study that says the when you spend time on your phone before you sleep, it affects your sleep, it affects your overall cycle for the next day. So, one of the things I've recently learned is to put down my phone 30 minutes before I go to bed or 1 hour before I go to bed. It helps you sleep better. It helps you to be able to meditate, reflect, and actually have a clear mind. So when you wake up clear because what we feed our minds creates our thoughts, and our thoughts inadvertently become our words, and our words become our actions, and our actions become habits, and our habits create character, and our character shapes our destiny. So being intentional about the books we read, about the music we listen to, about what we watch, who we associate with, will help us to create the right thoughts that will lead to personal growth. Finally, changing our interaction with others. Our personal growth depends on how we interact with other people. So, if we're only taught as children that the world is full of people and that relationships are key, lives will be different. However, um, we have to learn how to engage, we have to learn how to attract other people, we have to learn how to sit in rooms with successful people because there are certain rooms that we have to prepare ourselves to step into. We just can't step into them carelessly. And so realize that conversations start before a word is spoken. And then you have to learn to engage others. You have to learn to speak to people, learn to smile using your eyes, learn to look genuine, and learn to express yourself without being rude and unbecoming, because how we deal with people is a major part about our outcomes in life. Well, there's a personal development plan, and I would love to share it with you. However, because the podcast is free and we have a pro community, we'll be sharing our podcast, our personal development schedule with our personal community. So if you're in our community, yay, congratulations to you. We're going to be sharing with you in the community the personal development plan. That is the pro community. The normal community gets access to this session, but you have to create your personal development plan by yourself. However, for those that are in the community, the pro community, we've created a template for your personal development plan for you to work with. So part of this podcast that you get is not just the link, but actually you also get a template for the personal development plan. So If you're not in the community, you still have some time to be able to get in the room, get in the community, and we look forward to having you grow with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Until I come your way in 2 weeks, I look forward to you growing. I look forward to you investing intentionally in who you're becoming. Until next time, it's bye for now from me.